Welcome everyone to another episode of Podium Stories. Today we have a very special guest in the building. His name is Larry Rothstein. He's been in the marketing industry business for over 30 years. I think it's 38 years. He's the founder and CEO of Source Communications. Larry and his agency have been working with amazing clients such as Amtrak, Nikon US, Sbarro, MCI, McDonald's, the Jewish National Fund. So it's a great agency that I've had the pleasure to learn a bit more closely. Larry, thank you so much for taking the time to join us.
Marty, thank you. I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Absolutely. So let's start with your history in the marketing and advertising business. I know you've been here longer than I've been alive, and I want to
I'm not that old, Marty. Come on. Well, maybe I am.
So one of the things that I'm super curious about is how do you think the industry has changed over time since you started today? And I'm wondering if the last few years, maybe last year, a couple of years, has also been a changing time in the industry. So how do you see it from a big time perspective and then the last couple of years as well?
Yeah, I appreciate that question. You know, when I had this vision of starting this agency, I was actually in the radio industry, and I was a sales manager in a radio station in New York City. And I really thought I was getting into the media buying world. That's what I thought I was going to do, and I was going to be my own boss. But very, very quickly, we realized that clients needed a lot more support than what they felt the national brand was giving them. So we realized that we can work with brands on a regional level or in parts of the country or in spot markets around the country and really create programs that activate their retail or distribution network. Or on a B2B side, that their sales force through the use of targeted marketing and advertising programs. And that's really how Source Communications began. But we have gone through the whole from traditional to digital. And we lived through it. And if we didn't make that change, we wouldn't be here. We like to think that we are contemporary, which we are. After 38 years, we have seen just massive change, and we see it happening every year. We see it happening every quarter. We see it happening from a media perspective, as well as what the clients are expecting us to know and us to offer them, and the kinds of thinking and ideas and extensions of the programs that we develop. So it's been fascinating to see the change.
It has to be interesting how to adapt, right? Because I think your history and Source's history gives you so much experience, but then it also has that potential challenge of like, can we adapt and adjust to the changes in the industry? How do you make sure you're up to date, you and your team?
Right. So we have just an incredible team, Marty. It's all about people. You know, we have a complete media department here that does both digital as well as traditional media, both planning and buying. And they are unbelievable at looking at research and seeing what's happening in the industry today. We also have a chief strategic officer who is very up to date with all of the current activity that's going on in this business and the changes in not only advertising, but in content and making mini movies, and it's not always about now the 30-second television commercial or the 60-second radio spot. It is such a complete, comprehensive 360-degree way. We have to look at every client and every dollar that the client is actually investing in their marketing.
Right, because I saw this on your website that you guys have a 360-degree advertising mindset, right? And in a world where it seems like everybody's moving to just digital, I think you guys are able to combine and think of it on a case-by-case scenario. How do you guys approach, digital versus traditional? Is it one or the other? Is it the combination of both? It depends on the scenario.
Right. Thanks for that question. We don't look at it that way. We look at it as what's right for the client. We look at it as a holistic approach. What is going to drive that objective and make that objective happen for that client with the best ROI based on the objectives that they've laid out. And we create a strategy around that. And that strategy could be a digital strategy. It could be a digital with traditional strategy combined. It could be a sponsorship strategy, whether it be sports or entertainment. It could be a content strategy where we're creating a whole bunch of different content and then going out from a social and digital perspective to get that content seen. And it could be all of that above, and depending on what the objectives are and the budgets, of course, of that particular client. So we are never going to look at a client and say, you must be in digital, or you must be in television, or you must be in sports, to make this work. It's really, we look at it 360 degrees and create a plan.
I love that. Because it does seem like sometimes it can be one or the other for a lot of agencies. And it seems the right move to think of it in a case by case scenario. Tell me a bit more about how you guys think of brand. So brand strategy is something that I think you guys offer, from creating a positioning statement to developing a complete brand personality. What are some of the things and lessons that you've learned over the years that make a brand meaningful and something that can drive actual business results, which I guess your clients, what they're looking for at the end of the day?
I think the most important thing, Marty, for the brand is to listen to the consumer or listen to their target audience. So often brands say, this is who we are. This is who we are going to market to be. But they have not really asked the target audience what they're looking for and what they need. Right. And we believe in research, and we believe in data. And then we believe in taking that data and that research and turning that in to the right campaign, both creatively and from a media and sponsorship perspective, that's going to help activate that brand. And we always like to talk about activating brand. Yes, we can build brand from the beginning, but very often brands already are there. They're not brand new companies. There's a lot of existing amazing brands. But if we can find little nuggets how to activate those brands to make that brand more in tune with that target audience is going to want to do business with that company or buy that company's product.
Makes sense. That's something I don't often hear about, brand activation. And I know you guys have experience on sports marketing, and I want to talk about that. But it seems like the clients or some of the clients that come to you, like you said, they already have a brand, but maybe they need to fine tune it, right? They need to adjust it to recent times and help them adjust. What are some of the challenges that comes with, helping activating brands? What are some of the objections that you hear from clients of like, our brand is not active right now, how can we make it work?
Right. So, a lot of times, a lot of it comes down to what the actual objective is of the brand, right? There are some brands who say, we just want our name out there. We need to make sure people know who we are, and we'll be in a consideration set. But there's other clients who say, you know what? We know if we can get our product, and I'll talk about a consumer product or a food product, right? A consumer packaged good. If we can get that product in somebody's mouth, we know we can win, right? But we don't have enough people putting it in their mouths. So activation takes different forms. We're doing a program right now with an all-protein cookie by the name of Lenny and Larry's. And Lenny and Larry's is sold in almost 100,000 retail locations in the country, virtually every supermarket in the country. And they've been an amazing cookie for what we call the Spartan snacker. Somebody who does Tough Mudder races, who bikes 100 miles 3 days a week, but they're looking not to put junk in their body, but they want that little sweetness, but they want something to be good for them. So Lenny and Larry's has a brand new product called the Boss Cookie. And we went out and we did all this research around the Spartan snacker and what they want. How can we activate both the Lenny and Larry's brand and the Boss Cookie extension? And we hired a Ninja Warrior. We realized that our audience loved watching American Ninja Warrior. We went out and we hired a woman who won American Ninja Warrior 2 years in a row and came in second this past year. And she became the spokesperson for the Boss Cookie. We're doing all this social media, Instagram stories from Jesse Graff, who is the Ninja Warrior. We are doing in supermarket promotion. We are doing a sweepstakes where you can train with Jesse Graff at a Ninja Warrior facility in Dallas. So it's all coming together, right? That 360-degree thing we talked about, part of that really needs to be the activation of the brand, which comes with the program to make people feel and encourage people to feel much better, more welcoming to that brand message.
I love that. I love that. That's a great example. Um, One of the things we discussed earlier was sports marketing. Uh, I'm a big sports fan. I played basketball in college. My dad's a basketball coach. So sports is something that I hold really close to my heart. Was it the same way for you? And that's why that was one of the focus for Source? Or how did sports come about to your company?
Yeah, it's such a fun thing for me to talk about, because I really, my entire childhood in college, I wanted to be a sportscaster. And I was the sports director of my college radio station. And then I worked professionally for a couple of years on the air. But I realized that my voice was never going to be Vince Scully or Al Michaels or Bob Costas or Mike Tirico. And I said, I better get on the other side of the business. So I got into the advertising side. But, you know, sports marketing is such a fascinating business, because it used to be that a company did a deal with a team and they put their sign in the outfield or on the courtside signage at a basketball arena or a dasher board at a hockey arena. They got some tickets, they got a luxury suite, and they said, we're doing sports marketing. You know, it's done, it's fine, and it's expensive. Well, as the years have gone by, and certainly as we've been in the 2000s and 2010s, and as we're now in 2021, sports marketing better really have a set objective for that brand. It's expensive, and if you don't measure and create the assets for the sports marketing program by objective of the brand, then you're never going to get your money out of it. But if you look at sports marketing and say, my objective are these 4 points. I need to drive consumer traffic. I need to get sampling. I need to get brand awareness. And I need hospitality. If I could accomplish those 4 things through a sports deal, tell me why that is a better way to invest my money than just to go out and buy more media or buy more search or buy digital banners, right? So, and from a business to business perspective, and a great example of B2B is we represent the 10th largest accounting firm in the United States, CohnReznick. They have offices throughout the country. They needed content for their website. They needed a cause, if you will, to be able to share with their customers and their potential customers to do business with the firm. So we did a lot of research, and baseball fans matched up really well with CEOs and CFOs of major companies. So we went to Major League Baseball and we created an entire program based around the business of baseball. And Major League Baseball had never in their history had their winter meetings where all the trades happen and all the business of baseball happened. They never had their winter meetings sponsored. We went and gave them this idea that we wanted CohnReznick to be the exclusive sponsor of the Major League Baseball winter meetings. And it happened. And we have so much content out of that. Right. And we are on their network. We are on site. We are on digital. We are on social. And then throughout the year leading up to the winter meetings, we produce 30 pieces of business of baseball content in conjunction with MLB. And it runs on the team sites, it runs on MLB.com, and it runs on CohnReznick. And we push it out. So you think it's a sports deal, but what it is, it accomplishes an objective of a B2B client that really needed to have a differentiation in the marketplace, in an industry, in the accounting, auditing, and consulting world where there's a lot of sameness. And it has been an incredible success, and we're in our 3rd year of the program.
I love that story because 2 reasons, right? One, it starts with research and making sure that it matches the audience with the client that you're working with. And 2, because if somebody says B2B and sports, what do they have in common? You guys were able to find a common ground and a synergy that it worked for your client and it worked for the MLB as well. Talk to me about athletes' endorsements. So we've seen, growing up, I used to watch like Michael Jordan's Nike and Gatorade commercials. We've seen LeBron James endorse companies like Coca-Cola and McDonald's. What makes athlete endorsement so powerful for brands? And why is that something that for in some situations, it makes sense for them to invest in?
It's such a great question. And I think what makes it so powerful is when you do the research, the believability of certain athletes, the consumer passion for the sport, and then our own fandom for that athlete is off the charts. We, and it depends which one. And you mentioned ones that are unimpeachable, right? But there have been others. I mean, you look at a Tiger Woods, there's always going to be some risk factor because you're dealing with a human being. And human beings are not always perfect. But if you do your research and you match up the athlete to the brand, you can really be successful. So we have just filmed in the last 2 weeks a new commercial and new digital content for a client called barbecueguys.com, bbqguys.com. They're a company based in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and they're the leading seller of barbecue grills and outdoor barbecue accessories in the entire world. And they built their entire business through search and through digital marketing. They've never done top of the funnel.
Right.
And we got involved with them to do top of the funnel. And we recommended, after a lot of research, that we bring in some athletes. And we brought in Eli Manning, the two-time Super Bowl champion of the New York Giants, and his dad, Archie Manning. Because we know through research that grilling is not about the grill, it's about the experience that the family and friends have around the grill. You have a barbecue to have fun with your family and friends. You don't just do the barbecue because you want to use your grill and make yourself your own burger or steak or fish. So Archie and Eli just reek of family. And now we have just done a deal. We're bringing Peyton Manning into the mix and Cooper Manning into the mix. And we will be the first brand to have the entire Manning family actually in a commercial for a brand. And we're really excited about that. And the commercials debuted last night on HGTV and the Food Network. And the digital content is all over the web. So we're really excited. So we believe that athlete endorsement can work if you have the right athlete who you've done your vetting, is a good person, shares the right morals and the right characteristics of your brand. That's really important. It needs to be authentic. And if it's authentic, you can make it disruptive.
Right.
But it cannot be disruptive if it's not authentic.
Oh, that's amazing. That's a great point. Last question on sports marketing. I have a couple of last questions before we go, Larry. How has COVID made an impact on the sports marketing world? Obviously, we have no fans in the arenas. It's a bit shifted and changed how we perceive sports, but sports is such an integral part of our day-to-day life. How has it changed for you guys? Has it impacted how you guys approach it, or business as regular?
Yeah, when the shutdown happened last March, it was horrific for everyone. It was when you get away from just the personal, horror, right, of COVID and shutting down and business. As an agency who represents major amount of clients that have deals in sports, we focused right away what's going to happen, right? Because it was scary. And, no fans, no games.
Right.
So there was no television programming with sports. We immediately were proactive and spoke to every client. And we talked about partnership. Because the word partnership, when you do sports deals or media deals, is always thrown around. And I would say most of the time, it's not an authentic word. But we try to make it authentic. And we said to our clients, we need to speak to our partners in the sports world. And we need together to say, hey, we're in this together. That's not just a BS phrase. We are really in this together. We are not looking to cancel. We are not looking to take our money away. We are going to work with you, and we are going to see when this all comes back. And when it came back without fans, we were first in line. Our clients were first in line for the teams, the arenas, the stadiums, the conferences. to want to do more, to
Right.
give us more. So if we had a deal where we had on-site activation and we had a lot of signage in the building, well, because there were no fans, right? Because we were so honest and such good partners up front, we had every single team we worked with offer us TV visible signage, offer us ability to do digital, direct marketing, team.com. We were able to replace assets that was really about people in building versus people now online and watching on television. And our clients ended up getting dramatically more value because we were proactive at the very beginning and not saying, oh my God, COVID hit, we're shutting down, we're canceling our contract.
Right.
You know, we don't think that makes a good partner.
Right. And I think you've already answered my final question, which was, but maybe there's other things that you can add to that. And this is a selfish question, Larry, but as someone who wants to run an agency for decades, what is some advice that you'd give, maybe yourself at an earlier age or younger entrepreneurs about what it takes to build an agency that can stand the test of time? Right? I think building partnerships is one. Is there anything else that, looking back, you think it's important?
I would say three things, Marty. One is you got to keep your passion. If you don't have passion for what you do every day, for the work, forget about money,
right.
For the work. If you don't have passion for the work, you're not going to make it. That's number one. Number two is people. If you don't have great people, both that work for you, work with you, and you work with, it's also going to be incredibly difficult to be successful. And three, I would say always be able to reinvent yourself. Always understand that we're in an industry that changes almost daily. And if you stick to your old ways, because that's what I did 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, you will be a dinosaur and you're not going to survive. So those three things I think are vitally important to be successful in this business.
That was amazing, Larry. I think it's a good way to end this. Thank you so much for your time, Larry. I think we covered everything that I wanted to. This was a great conversation, and I really appreciate you sharing so openly about your experience, the lessons you've learned. Thank you so much for being here.
I enjoyed it, Marty. Thank you so much.